Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to my video. So today I'm going to be showing you the rotation for Unholy Death Knight in PvP, and I'm also going to be showing you some skirmishes, some 2v2 skirmishes, since this week we got the 10-win skirmish weekly quest, so I'm going to be showing you a little bit of that. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. Alright guys, so one question I see a lot lately on forums or when I'm browsing streams is, what's the rotation for Unholy, or how do I do damage as Unholy? And those are actually two really good questions because the Unholy spec is really different compared to the other melee specs like Assassination and Demon Hunter. It's really weird if you think about it because our damage is mostly passive. It comes from our ghoul and it comes from our dots. It also comes from our honor talent like Crypt Fever, and basically it's a spec that is designed to wear down the other team, with the Necrotic Strike that absorbs healing. So it's a support spec in 3s, and in 2s it's also really strong because Death Knights are really tanky, and they counter healing comps, which you do see a lot in 2s. Alright guys, so now let's take a look at the rotation, and I pretty much use that term loosely because in PvP there really is no set rotation except for your opener. But for the most part, PvP is very random, so there is no real set rotation. There's basically just like a priority system. But for my opener this season, basically all I would do is I would go up to my kill target, apply at least 4 festering wounds. I would then CC the healer with my asphyxiate, and then I would cast my Soul Reaper followed by Apocalypse followed by my Gargoyle, and then I would enrage my pet, and then basically from here I would just go through the rotation, because in your opener you can basically script it a little bit, and then I would just go ham, casting Clawing Shadows, or casting Necrotic Strike as well, for a little bit of heal and absorb. And most of the time, guys, I would this opener here would cause so much pressure, at least in 2s, that I would end up winning the match at the very start. So it was very hard for the enemy team to recover. Now the thing is, when it comes to dealing damage as an Unholy Death Knight, once your burst is over, if you don't kill your target, it's actually not a problem because, like I said earlier, Unholy is pretty much the king of consistency. So what do I mean about consistency, guys? When I say consistency, I basically mean that Unholy is one of those specs that is consistently doing damage. It doesn't matter whether you're on the target, it doesn't matter if you're off the target. Basically our damage comes from so many different sources, some passively as well, that it doesn't really matter what the other team does. As Unholy, as long as you have your Virulent Plague up, and as long as you have your Festering Wounds up on the other team, they're basically always taking consistent damage from Crypt Fever, from Virulent Plague, from your pet, and basically from everything else like Death Coil and Clawing Shadows, because Unholy is one of those specs that can't really be kited. We are always going to be doing damage to the other team. Alright guys, lastly I just want to touch on priority system. I know I mentioned it earlier. Basically I have a priority system in Arena when, for example, I don't kill my target in the opener, like the rotation I just showed you. Then that's when my priority system takes over. And the priority system as Unholy is basically this. You always want to make sure you have your Virulent Plague up. You always want to make sure that you have your Festering Wounds up on the target. Because like I said earlier, you want to always be doing consistent damage to their team. And eventually this consistent damage basically wears down the other team with your Clawing Shadows, with your Death Coil, with your Necrotic Strikes, with your Ghoul. Basically all of that combined together causes so much pressure that is one of the reasons why this season I pretty much managed to get to 2K rating as Unholy because there wasn't a lot of people playing it at the time, and Unholy pretty much counters a lot of the healer DPS comps that queue in 2v2 bracket. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you some 2v2 skirmishes, and I want you guys to pay real close attention because a lot of these matches are over pretty quickly. But you're going to see pretty much the way Unholy works in twos, and you're going to see somewhat of a rotation / priority system, and you're going to see that Unholy basically does damage from so many different sources that it's kind of funny to see my target getting low and I'm not even actually on the target itself. So let me go ahead and show you those matches right now. Alright guys, so this first match is against a Feral Druid and a Dusterlock. Really scary, even as Unholy, because Destruction does a lot of damage, and Feral actually does pretty good damage as well. So I want to try to kill the Lock as quickly as possible, but as you see here, the Feral has other plans. He pounces me. I pretty much asphyxiate him, and then I start my rotation. I start to get Festering Wounds on him, and then I need to line sight the Warlock so he's not free casting on me. So this Feral starts to run away from me, and then I make sure I get my Ruling Plague up on the Lock, so I'm doing passive damage, consistent damage. I finally get on this Druid. I pop Apocalypse on him because I have 4 Festering Wounds on him. I throw down my Anti-Magic Shell or Anti-Magic Zone because I don't want this Warlock getting too many Chaos Bolts on me that are going to do full damage. So the Feral Druid basically runs away from me, and it doesn't matter because my pets are on him, so he basically comes back to me. And meanwhile, we're getting this Warlock low, and then we basically kill him. And then I swap over to the Druid, and I have a lot of cooldowns, defensive cooldowns still up, and I basically use them, and it's pretty much GG for the Druid. So as you can see guys, Unholy does so much damage, but it's damage that comes from so many different sources. And so that's what I mean by, Unholy being one of those passive damage dealers. Like, we're always doing damage even when we're not on our target. Alright guys, this next match is against a Frost Death Knight and a Shadow Priest. Still pretty scary comp. My goal right here is to pretty much shut down the Shadow Priest, and also to kill the Shadow Priest before the Frost Death Knight can kill me. And as you're going to see here, it's going to be a really close match. So right off the gates, I'm going to charge straight at this Shadow Priest. I know this Death Knight's going to basically try to peel me off, but I don't care. I grip the Shadow Priest in, I put my Festering Wounds on him, my Soul Reaper, I cast Apocalypse, and then cast my Gargoyle, and then I pretty much start going ham because it's a race, and this Frost Death Knight does a lot of damage, so I drop Anti-Magic Zone so it could absorb some of that magical damage, and luckily for me, we kill this Shadow Priest, and then I still have Corpse Shield, so I basically pop that, and then I start healing myself with Death Strikes, and we win the match, guys.